household formation is down. Is that still because of the economic recovery not being fully finished yet? Is it changes in birth rate, marriage rate, that sort of thing? Is it millennials still living at home and not yet forming their own households? What of those, really do you think?
Yeah, Leigh, I think it's all of that. I do not believe the American dream of home ownership has in any way changed. We hear this through every housing recession and then recovery that everybody's afraid. They're not going to buy a home. It's never happened before, and I don't see it happening again. I think that the goal of most Americans, two-thirds of this country owns a home, 1/3 rent. And that's a pretty consistent stat. It moves between 60 and 70% home ownership rates. And I don't see that changing long term. Right now, all the things you mentioned are going on. So we have the baby boomers, and I'm in the middle of the boomers at 54 years old, are beginning to downsize because the kids are leaving the nest and they're now alone and they don't need the big house in the burbs, and they're making decisions as to what to do. So they're maybe downsizing, maybe they're moving back into a city, maybe they're buying a second home in Florida or Palm Springs or Scottsdale, Arizona. The echo boomers are the millennials, which is the kids of the boomers. So there's another big bunch of population demographics coming through. So they're in their 20s, early 30s. They're living with mom and dad because they got out of college and got a job, but they didn't get the job they thought they'd get. They're getting married later in life, which is just a social decision they're making. So kids are getting married in their mid-30s. So they're having children in their late 30s, and that's when they think about, well, now I want to own a home. Now maybe I want to move to the burbs because I want to get my kids into the suburban school system, and I want the playground in the backyard, or they stay in the cities. But so I think you have a fundamental change in household formations right now because the millennials are much more deliberate in forming a family, getting married, having kids. It's happening later. So we have a delay. What's interesting is the traditional starter home, first home, I think will become a bigger home because the first home now will be bought 5 to 10 years later in life when you have a little bit more money and you're gonna step up. And a lot of the other builders that focus on starter housing have recognized that maybe the new starter house isn't the 175 to 225 house. Maybe it's the 250 to 325 home, and it's going to be a little bigger and have more features in it. I also think there is still a lack of confidence in the economy, in this recovery. Unemployment's coming down now fairly significantly, but the quality of jobs isn't quite there yet.